So today, starting on the next project here. This one will be fairly quick, and in this video, you'll see it go from start to finish, and it's gonna look way, way better. This is a pretty nice little car as it is, but it needs a little freshening up, and I'm gonna put a fresh paint job on this thing. So let me show you what we got to start with. So as you can see, it's got a pretty decent paint job on it right now. There is some fading. This car is pretty much original paint, and it's got some little dingers and stuff you can kind of see here. You know, just the typical things for an older car, right? A couple little door dings, no rust, clear coat starting to die in a couple of places, and then a couple little boo-boos and whatever on the bumpers there. And the biggest whoops right there. And even that's not terrible. You know, it's nothing crazy. So basically, just gonna give it a quick once over, fix the door dings, fix little stuff like this, and make it look much, much better. And you can see the factory body kit stuff here. You know, it's getting kind of rough. The car was stored for a while and buried in a garage, and, you know, things lean up on them, rub on them, bump on them, and, you know, you end up in this kind of spot where you might as well just go ahead and reshoot the whole car, because this is a very low mileage, like 60,000 mile car. It's exceptionally clean on the interior, as you'd expect from such a low mileage car. So it deserves, you know, a fresh coat of paint. So that's what it's gonna get. All right, so let's get started. So on this car here, it had been previously detailed on and tried to be polished and stuff like that. So we got to get rid of all those chemicals first. You don't want any kind of silicone-based chemicals mixing with your paint stuff. That's bad news. So the first thing you should do is just grab you some Dawn dish soap. Old microfiber towel works good. That way you're keeping everything clean and uncontaminated. And give it a bath. Now, before I give it the bath, what I will do is grab some degreaser and get in all these wheel wells, the tires, you know, anywhere there's been road grime, you know, stuff like that. Silicone on the tires, you know, from tire shine, stuff like that. Get rid of all of it. So I will soak those down and do that. The other reason you want to go ahead and wash these and pressure wash them real good is when you start removing trim, look at all this heavy buildup you have. There's no need to be fighting that and spending way more time with a rag and glass cleaner or something trying to clean this mess off. So this is just the quickest, most efficient way to do what you've got to do. And it really pays off when you start masking it off. I mean, obvious contamination, right? But when you start masking it off, you need your tape to stick in these wheel wells and rockers and other things, you know. If you got a little dirt and stuff on it, not only will that dirt end up in your paint somehow or another, it will also not let your tape stick. So just quick, simple things to do before you even get started on this process that will pay off in the long run. So now that the car is all cleaned and the parts are all cleaned, and you can see, it's another reason I pressure washed this stuff first. Those were all solid red. The pressure washer just blew all that paint off. And if you can blow the paint off of the pressure washer, you can bet that once you go to put paint on, it's either gonna lift it, or if it gets a little nick in it later, it's all gonna come up anyway. This is another reason that people don't like to paint these older cars, because they don't wanna put their work over someone else's and have this problem happen. Then it comes back on them. Unless they strip the car all the way down to metal, and most places don't wanna do that, and most people don't wanna pay to have that done. So I blew a little clear off here. Basically, other than that, just was able to get the adhesive off behind there, off behind where the trim was. The dealer stickers and stuff that were back here, blasted those clean off. And that's pretty much it. I was just able to get in all the little crevices, get those cleaned, get all the little sealant stuff off. It saved a lot of time, and it's definitely way, way cleaner than it was. So the first thing I'm gonna do now, because I've already gone around and outlined all my damages and stuff like that with a Sharpie, is I'm gonna attack this, since this is obviously the worst thing on the car. And while I do that, my son's gonna start sanding all these parts down and getting them prepped, because we're gonna have to prime all of this, and then we'll spot prime the sections of the car where we have to fix a little door ding or something. All right, pull on it hard. Come a little bit more. Pull it. Come through it there. That ain't a big deal. I had to pull it out. That was in there quite a bit. This is going to come out more. Not there, but. Okay.
Is it on time lapse?
No, it's on video. Alright. Here. Coming out. Huh?
Anything it right here.
Coming, yeah. Huh?
I was hoping it was.
It was? close, piece of junk. So I need to get right in here more. Not too shabby, huh?
Maybe you want to fix that.
All right, so I got this all pulled out. My head and everything was kind of getting in the way to see it, but if you look down it this way, you can see it all just folds, you know, swoops down like it's supposed to, whereas this was all pushed in. This is all out now. Put my hand back here where it was touching. You can see back here it was touching. So I've pulled all this out. Now in the quarter, you can see right here, it's got a bit of a crown coming up and a little bit coming across because this was tucked in, and that's just naturally what it's going to do. And then right in here, it's sucked in a little bit. So now I'm going to come back and just start massaging this crown. If you start working the crown, the metal will go back the way it was and flatten the panel back out. So I'll go ahead and work on that now, and then I'll show you my end result. All right, I didn't film it, but you can see how straight this panel is now. It's not 100% perfect, but I got the big crown out of it here and the big crown coming up out of here. Much, much better. Now I do have a little bit of a split right here where my hook tool, and don't laugh at me because I got my little fancy setup here, but you got to do what you got to do, you know. When I hooked it on the back, because it was crunched in there, it hooked this, and then pulling it, it split it a little bit. But I'm going to come back tomorrow and just weld that up, clean this all up good, and basically metal finish this up the rest of the way, and it would just barely take just the slightest little skim coat over this, and it'll be slick and nice. All right, so I just welded that all up there. Come out real good. You can see I've got this pretty well metal finished. I'm gonna grind that off, but real quick, I wanted to show right here. You can kind of see where it's dipped in here right below the body line. Trying to get it to focus on what I want it to anyway. Basically, it's dipped in a little bit right here because this all rolled in. Get this glove off. So, let's see, the easiest way to show this is if I put this on here. The lighting's not the greatest, but you can see where it's dipped in. Little cavity in there. So it's easier to show while it has paint on it. Basically, I'm going to strip this back to metal, bring my unispotter in over there, weld some studs in here, and just pull this out and get it nice and flush again. All right, so on this panel, I'm basically just getting ready to skim it with a little bit of filler at this point. I've pulled all this out. This is just barely low right here. And see, I took 80 on a DA and just started blocking it out with that. You see here where it's darker, that's a little low. That's another reason you just kind of go along, because it looks straight by the eye, you know, it just, okay, but it's low. So it just jumps out to you when you do that. Just like here, you can see the couple little dark spots from where I was hammering this, you know, getting the crown out, and then come up this way. You can see where this is a little shiny in here. Also a little bit of a low spot. So all I'm gonna do is, that is so low that when I high build prime this, I'll be able to block that right out. I don't need to put any filler. These two little spots right here, I'm just barely gonna skim it, just to be on the safe side. They're a little bit more than this up here, so I'll just lightly skim those. And then basically down here, I'll just skim this, sand it all off. Another thing to remember with body filler is you're gonna put a lot more on and then you're gonna actually leave. The rule of thumb is pretty much 80% of your filler is gonna end up on the floor. So, and that's the way you want it. You'd rather have 80% of it on the floor and 20% on the panel You know what I'm saying? So it's not super thick. We're just doing really thin, but you kind of build it up, level it out so that you can go down and have it nice, flush finish at the end of it. So anyway, here it is all in metal. You can see I welded it up, ground it all down in here. Can't even tell where I did it. Got this all pulled back out where it was supposed to be. So I'm gonna get my little finger grinder real quick and just clean up this little surface rust spot here, clean this corner out before I start skimming this. So here you go. This is all body worked out, ready for primer. Now, there's not much filler in here, and I went super light with it. That's why here you can see the 2 layers. I needed just a hair more. And then I had a little high spot here, so I took it down till it was flushed, kind of blocked it out. And this is all super shallow. And this, I actually skimmed it, blocked it, and when I did, that was only deep enough that the paint flattened it out. So this all worked out really well. This all slicked out, the body lines are good. And like I said, it's ready for some high build primer. Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is just go around and body work the little waves that are here and there and a couple little dingers and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna bore you guys with that because it's just quick, easy, simple stuff. So I'll bring you back once everything's prepped out and we're getting ready to prime. So here we have the car all prepped, ready to prime. I'm getting ready to mask it all up. So I stripped the nose here where those little rock chips and stuff were and stripped them back and took care of all that and any kind of waves or little updents and things. All that taken care of. Everything kind of blended out where any kind of clear was wanting to, you know, delaminate or anything like that. Got that all taken care of. There really wasn't a whole lot. Stuff like this was like a paint chip, and then they'd come and tried to bury it in some paint. So I wiped all that off and then feathered that out. So basically I'm just gonna spot prime this one. It doesn't need a full coat of primer. As you can see how tiny and minimal the imperfections were. The biggest issue was just this lower quarter, and that ain't even hardly anything. Look at that. So here it is, very thin filler in it. This panel, actually just kind of massaged it, hit it with a little high build primer, block it, done. So on the inside, you know, it's all pulled back, straightened out. Here, there was just a little bit of a wave in the door, just the smallest little dent. I mean, look how thin that filler is to fill that. This fender, there was just some scratches at the front from the trim, so I'm just gonna spot prime that, fill in the little nicks. And then there was just a couple of spots up here where the paint had chipped up and stuff like that. So I filled that, smoothed it, took care of those spots. Same here. So that's it on this. Then we come in here and got the rest of the pieces and panels in here. You can see that these fender flares and stuff pretty much stripped them all the way down. This one I had to do a repair on it. It was actually split. I'll insert a little picture here. So you can see there I had to come back. So I've gotten it all filled, smoothed over. You can see on the back side, which I didn't notice this, but I'll clean this up real quick before I prime, just get that off of there. But it's good and strong now. The skirts stripped. This one had some gouges in it. Got those worked over, filled. Same thing here. There was a couple of scrapes. Nothing crazy. Sanded the rest of this down. This one, stripped it all the way down. Body worked it, had some dings and other gouges and stuff. So just took care of all those. Same thing across here. These were like how people drag their stuff out of the trunk across the bumpers. So I got all those taken care of. So these are all prepped and ready to go now. So I'm gonna go back in there and bag the top of the car and then just tape up a couple of sections where I don't want any overspray because I'm just spot priming it. So I'll have the gun pressure turned down real low. I'm not gonna make a big mess or anything. So I'm just gonna prime it in the body shop area because I don't need to. And you can see I've got all this in the paint booth. So this way I can just do them all at the same time. All right, let me get to that. Here they are all done. You can see I've thrown some guide code on here because they've already flashed off and everything. Gonna let these sit for the next several days, and then I'll come back and get them all finished out with 600. Be ready for base and clear. Come in here. Here's the car all done as well. You can see how I went ahead and guide coded it. Now see, you might be wondering, well, why'd you go this far up with the hood? Well, when people are shutting these hoods and stuff, you know how their hands are and things, they can get a little wavy. So I just went ahead, because I had a patch here, there, body work, and had all those chips along the front. So what I did is I just went ahead and DA'd back this far, and I just kind of blended it out to it. This way, when I go to sand it all out, I can eliminate a lot of those waves, since this is a high build primer. But over here, that's why all this is shiny, because, you know, I didn't spray any primer on it. And then when I come back and sand the whole car off, finish it out in 600 and everything, then I'll knock all that down. There's no reason for me to do all that twice and then possibly go through and have to start over, as well as this car didn't need a complete prime job. This is supposed to be, you know, budget friendly and quick. Just do what you need to do and move on. So I went ahead, even though these mirrors still were covered in the paint because they are plastic, I just wanted to throw a light coat on there just to give the base coat a little something else to bite into. There was just, you know, some scratches and things like that, so I just went ahead and primed a little extra here just to give me some more material to take any imperfections out. Back here, you know, all good. This all looks really good over here. I put a little extra in here because I did have those couple of crowns that I worked out, kind of metal finish, just to give me a little bit to block it a little straighter. Again, just a quick thing. You know, I didn't skim the whole panel and block it and do all that. This is just a in-between level, if you know what I mean. So here again, got this all knocked out, and there was a couple scratches up here, so I just hit those real quick. Where the paint had chipped up and been touched up and stuff up here, addressed all those issues. And then here at the front, there was some nicks in it from the end of the trim, so I just went ahead and spotted that. So now it's time just to sand all this stuff down, get it all prepped out. I got all these loose pieces laying around here. I'm gonna do all of these separately. I'll prep all these, put them in the booth, shoot them, then come back and address the car itself, spray it afterwards. So all right, so as you can see here, got the car in the booth, all masked up, ready to go, and finally gonna get some color on this thing. There's been a pretty good sized gap between getting those other parts sprayed and this, between me getting sick, fighting humidity that's been crazy, stuff like that. But I'll flip it around here and show you what the car looks like before I start hosing this thing down. So here it is. You know, this thing just really wasn't bad at all. Just that damage to the wheel well right here, which didn't take me very long at all to fix that. It was pretty minor, all things considered. And just a couple little waves, little teeny tiny door dings, you know, some chips and stuff in the hood, and then a couple little, you know, when people shut these hoods or do it like this, you know, you end up leaving your imprints of your fingers or thumbs, you know, it just, when you do that, it'll flex this metal. So anyway, I just put a little extra high build in here, knocked it down, leveled it all back out. But all in all, a clean little car. Just same kind of thing here. You know, just kind of feathering out some areas. You know, paint had chipped here. They'd gone over it with touch-up paint. So you had to feather that out and blend it in. Stuff like that. But it's all prepped out now, ready to go. I'm gonna come around. I got a couple little burn through spots here and there, couple little bare metal spots showing. Hit those with a little self etch, and then couple coats, maybe 3 coats of base. This red, you know, getting nice even coats. It's a little more transparent, so usually 2 coats. I did 2 coats on all the other parts. They covered fine. So as long as this goes the same, I'll do 2, if not 3, then 2 good coats of clear, and we'll have this thing wrapped up and ready to go home. All right, well, it's all done, and you can see it popping in the sun out here. So let me flip around, just give you a quick walk around to the car. I'm gonna give it a bath, and then it's ready to go home. So let me do that. And like I said, this is not show car. This is just nice. It's not Mako. It's just in between. But look at that thing. Nice, shiny, sweet little ride. Everything turned out really good. I mean, you can see the reflection, just clear as day. Clouds passing now, their sun's really on it. A sharp little car. It turned out really good. So there you have it. Nice budget-friendly paint job. Everything was done with the DA, no hand blocking, nothing crazy. Just, good materials and doing what was necessary and not getting carried away. You can see you can turn out a very nice result that'll last a really long time. Now, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the like button. It really boosts the videos and helps in the YouTube algorithm. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.